Rules and regulations can make or break a team's journey to success. Get the rules wrong and you get disqualified. Get it right and you can be on top of the leaderboard. And changes in regulation to Formula One have been known to give teams an incredible advantage that leads them to victory. Stay tuned to find out 5 times that F1 teams have gotten the regulations right. First, we have the Ferrari Sharknose in 1961. Way back in 1961, engine capacity had gone down from 2.5 liters to 1.5 liters. Yes, this is where it all started. And the minimum weight had been reduced by 50 kilograms. This gave Ferrari the best edge it could possibly have asked for. The team that was lagging behind for so long in so many races had now suddenly made it on top of the leaderboard. After making some major changes in design and making the V angle slightly flatter, Ferrari had won 5 out of the 7 world champion races, making history as they deemed fit. Next, BMW BT52 in 1983. The regulations that were passed in 1983 were the ones that had changed the look of cars forever. They required cars with low-hanging skirts and a ground effect to be considered illegal, leading car designers to become stumped with these changes. Many of them had to scrap their car designs completely and then start from scratch. The world of racing had changed, and everyone had to comply. Gordon Murray then came up with the ingenious idea of making an arrow-shaped car, one that would redefine weight distribution and would essentially shift the weight to the rear end instead. However, the twist in this car was that the fuel tank could not hold enough gas to last the entire race, therefore adding a new necessary addition in the world of racing: refueling pit stops. The car dominated its races and won the owner his world championship. Next, the McLaren MP4-13. In 1998, the outlook of Formula One vehicles changed drastically. There was a 200mm width reduction because of the introduction of narrow-track cars, the first major change in a really long time. What's more, grooved tires were also a phenomenon that had been introduced at that time. The reason why these changes had been brought on by the association was because of the fact that there was a need to reduce the amount of available grip that could lead to a reduction in the amount of contact that the tire has with the ground. Formula One estimated that this number would be around 12%. Essentially, that meant that the cars would be much faster in comparison to before. McLaren had begun working on this almost immediately. They had enlisted the help of Adrian Newey, who had some ideas on how to go about these new regulations back in 1987. With a series of small tweaks here and there, Newey changed the design of the car, making it more aerodynamical in comparison to before. Those slight tweaks were what led Mika Hakkinen to the World Championship in the 1998 season. Also, his incredible skills and intelligence of the racer were also a factor that came into play. Now, we have the Braun Mercedes BGP-001. This controversial car is famous for its double diffuser that had been declared legal in the opening season of the Australian Grand Prix. However, the story starts in November of 2007, when the Braun team had decided to focus on the new regulations that would lead to different aerodynamic changes that could be possible with changes to be made in the front wings by making them wider, in the rear wings by making them more narrow and higher. This was a success in itself. It led to the creation of the BGP-001 and the wins that Braun had in 2009. Even though the team was struggling with budget issues, this car was the one that allowed them to be on the map and be considered serious contenders as well. The racer of the car, Mr. Jenson Button, was also the winner of the 2009 World Championship. Sometimes it's the small changes that make the biggest difference. What do you think about the car? Was Braun smart in their attempt to take advantage of the new aerodynamics regulations, or were they just lucky when they were able to attach the double diffuser to the car that got them on the map? And lastly, the Mercedes W05. One of the major changes in the history of Formula One engine regulations has been the decision that the league took in 2014. What the change required was a switch to the 1.6-liter V6 turbo hybrid power units. This then led to the major transformation in F1 racing that we see today. Cars could now exceed thermal efficiency by 50% and reach 1,000 bhp, making these cars a force to be reckoned with. And the major force that was to be reckoned with in this scenario was Mercedes. Although no one has ever any doubt about the ability and superiority of Mercedes cars and their drivers in F1 racing or otherwise, this major change not only allowed them to become race winners, but also allowed them to dominate the entire field of racing. With the implementation of this new regulation, Mercedes was able to win 16 races out of a total of 19, putting their star racer Lewis Hamilton straight to the World Championship. The reason why Mercedes was the one who was at the front of winning races left and right is their efficiency. They started working on the new engines almost immediately immediately after the regulation, and as we know, the early bird gets the worm, and this bird won the World Championship. Sounds like an incredible payback to me. What do you think about this engine? Are you of the opinion that the engine was the reason for this incredible win? Let us know in the comments section below. Now, in other F1 related news, although regulations are an important part of racing, arguably so, it is an incredibly dangerous sport, and it is very easy for racers to lose their lives on the scene. However, there is more to racing than just changing designs to meet compliance regulations. Here is everything else that is happening in the world of Formula One racing at the moment. Mercedes promoting diversity. Mercedes had launched its Accelerate 25 program in December 2020, which meant that the company wanted to ensure that almost 25% of the new starters in their company came from underrepresented backgrounds, such as women and ethnic minorities. Mercedes was proud to announce that it had, in just the first year, exceeded the target that it had kept for itself, with around 38% of the starters having come from underrepresented backgrounds. Moreover, the number of both female and ethnic minorities as employees in Mercedes has also increased a few percentage points. This is all incredible news. For years and years, Formula One racing has been seen as a white man's sport, making it incredibly difficult for women and other minorities to come into the limelight, and for many girls with hobbies for racing had to leave it at that, a hobby. It is refreshing to see new faces and new batches of people coming into the scene. It is even better to see them come from such elevated platforms such as Mercedes, where you know that they will be able to make a difference. We admire the new reforms the company has taken and are hoping that other teams are taking inspiration from them as well. What do you think about Formula One becoming more inclusive? How do you think companies can achieve better inclusivity? Let us know in the comments below. Next, Vettel chooses a name for his Aston Martin F1 2022 car. Professional athletes come with their own set of rituals that they keep stored away somewhere safe, whether it is wearing your lucky socks every time to the big game or taking 2 showers before the big fight. There are different traditions that every sports athlete has and follows, and racers are no different. Sebastian Vettel, the racing driver from Germany who competes for the Aston Martin racing team, has a very important ritual that he adheres to before the new season starts. Coincidentally, these names are always feminine in nature. Names have included Julia, Gina, Lena, Kate, and so on. The driver believes that it gives his car a bit of a personality, something that we can all use every now and then. The major dilemma that the German-born racer has run into naming his latest car that he will use to drive in for the 2022 season. Vettel mentioned that he had not actually given the name much thought before the reveal, but since the beautiful car had been launched to the public in the UK headquarters, fans and journalists have bombarded the man with only one question: what will you name the car? Vettel said that the questions had gotten him thinking, and he had shortlisted a few names, but the major reveal will happen just before the season starts. There is some speculation that says the car will be named after another character in the Bond universe, such as Honey Rider, which was the name of his first Aston Martin car in 2021. What do you think? What should Vettel name his car for the new season? Do you think that this is another quirky tradition that racers have, or does it actually help the man drive better? Let us know in the comments. That's all for this video, folks. Let us know what you thought about the regulations and whether they give other teams an unfair advantage or not. We're curious to know your take on this. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any F1 related news. See you next time.